Hey everyone, and welcome back to STEM Girl Budgeting. If you're new here, I'm a 26-year-old woman who likes to make videos on my personal finances here on YouTube, but today I wanted to show you how to set up and use this free Google Sheets portfolio tracker created by Dan Buchal. So this is what I personally use to look at my investment portfolio and to make sure that my asset allocation is in alignment with my investment plan. So I do prefer to use this Google Sheets over an online data aggregator like Empower because I prefer not to link my accounts to different websites, and this tracker is more than sufficient for my investment needs. So this is what my portfolio tracker looks like with all of my information already inputted. So you can see a really nice breakdown of my allocation summary, the number of assets I have, my expense ratio, which accounts, if any, need to be rebalanced. So right now 0, the total value of those accounts. You can kind of compare what your actual allocation is to your target allocation. And then if you go over here to the account dashboard, you can look at your different accounts in a bunch of different ways. You can group by account type, which is useful if you have multiples of the same type of account, which is particularly helpful, I think, for people who are married, and I am married, so this is very helpful for me. And then you can also look at institution. So for me, this is kind of boring. I just use Fidelity. But if you do have your accounts across different institutions, you can look at this breakdown. You can look at owner, which again is helpful if you have a 2-player setup, and look at the difference between your accounts versus your spouse's accounts versus what you have joint. And then tax type, which is also, I think, very helpful to get a sense of how many of your assets are tax-free versus taxable versus tax deferred. And I just want to walk you through step by step how to set this up for yourselves in case this is interesting to you and you also don't like to use data aggregators to look at your financial data. So yeah, let's get into it. So let's go over to the GitHub page where Dan actually has this portfolio tracker. So you can see this is the right portfolio tracker. You can scroll down here, download the latest version releases. Let's click this. And then let's scroll down to template. If we press this, it will say, would you like to make a copy of the portfolio tracker? And yes, you would. Okay, so now we made a copy of this portfolio tracker. I'm going to click allow access because this is going to allow the spreadsheet to update with the stock prices throughout the day. So we need to allow access. Now, there are step-by-step instructions. So see portfolio tracker guide. You can open preview if you want and just see a mini version of it here, or open it up into a separate tab. And this is helpful for setting things up, but I just thought it's nice to sometimes have a video setup guide as well, which is why I'm filming this. So let's get started and let's get into this. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go down here to account setup. So this is what it looks like when you first copy. So Dan has some examples of my 401k. This is a 401k account and it's at Vanguard. So I'm going to set this up for my account so that you can see exactly how I would do this. So I'm going to start off with fiddling around with the account types and institutions because this will change what you can select in these drop-down boxes. So 401k is good, but I'm going to specify and say that this is a traditional 401k. HSA is good. Rollover IRA, I don't have any of those, but my husband does have a Roth 401k, so I'm going to add that. But I do need to change this from tax deferred to tax free. So yeah, you want to make sure that the tax treatment is what you want it to be and that it's accurate. So traditional 401k should be tax deferred. HSA should be tax free. Roth 401k should be tax free. Roth IRA should be tax-free, and then a taxable account should obviously be taxable. And then I am going to delete Vanguard and leave Fidelity because Fidelity is the only institution that I use, and so this just makes it really clean. Also, if you have more than 3 institutions, you can easily insert a row and add another one like that. So this is completely customizable. You can make this work for whatever your situation is. Next, let's just type in all of the different accounts that I have. So we have a joint brokerage. We have my Roth IRA. We have my husband's Roth IRA. We have my husband's HSA. We have my husband's traditional 401k. And then we have my husband's Roth 401k. So those are all the different accounts that we have. I don't have a 401k and another like employer sponsored retirement account because I am getting my PhD right now. So the only account I have available to myself is a Roth IRA. Okay, so for type, you want to select what kind of account this is, and then also your institution. So let me just copy this down like this because these are all Fidelity. And then Roth IRA, HSA, traditional 401k, and then Roth 401k. And then I do also like to update the owner because this is helpful for using the group by feature in the account dashboard. So this is a joint account, A, B, 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 B. Okay, and then so now our accounts are set up. So let's go to asset setup. So before we do this, actually, I'm going to go over to Fidelity, which is where we have all of our accounts. And if you go to the screen and then go to positions, you can actually go and download a file of all of your different portfolio positions. So let me go back here and then let me just show you guys. So this is what this Excel sheet looks like. I just deleted the account numbers for privacy, but you can see all of my accounts listed, all of the symbols, and then the quantity, which is going to be very important. So you can see here that these are all different tickers that I use. I'm just going to select all of these and then I'll clean it up. So let's go back here. Okay, let's paste these tickers. Oops, that looks bad. Sorry, I'm going to paste it in a way that makes it look nice. And then I do have some repeats, so let me get rid of these and then just, yeah, paste those. Okay, so then these are all the tickers that I have across all of our different accounts. So we have 3 different total stock market index funds and then 3 different international stock index funds. We could just have one of each, but that's just not what we're doing. So I have to put all the tickers the way that they actually are. And then it's important for you to select what class they are. And if you want to customize the asset classes and the class categories, then you can do that. So this is completely customizable. If you're like, oh, I don't see the asset class that I want, you can just add it here. But for us in our situation, this is already perfect and we don't need to change anything. So this is a international total market. This is also international. This is US. This is also US. And then this is international total. And then you can see here that this is not updated with the expense ratio. So this happens every so often where, yeah, it just like doesn't update this properly. So we can manually put in a 0 here because I know that the expense ratio is that. And then let me just Google really fast. I'm going to Google it on my phone. Okay, so I just Googled this and the expense ratio is 0.06. So yeah, this is a little bit annoying because if the expense ratio ever changes, this wouldn't automatically update, but I don't think expense ratios really ever change. So you can definitely just modify this yourself. And then I'm actually going to put in the more exact amount for FSKAX because this actually will round it to 0.02, which throws off the weight, and I'm just going to fix it and make it perfect. Okay, so that's how you set up your assets. Next, we're going to go to allocation down here and set up what we want the allocation to be between our assets. So if you go here, you can set what your target asset allocation is for each of these different classes. So I want all of these to be 0. And then I want US to be 70 and international to be 30. So we have a really simple portfolio setup where 100% equities. We just have a total US market fund and a total international market fund, and that's it. And we want those to be in a 70-30 split because that's pretty close to the market cap. It's a little bit overweight in US, but this is what we decided years ago, and we are sticking to our investment plan that we established back in 2022 when we started investing. So that's that. Now we're going to go over to holdings. And so this is the page that you're actually going to update on a regular basis. You only need to set up your accounts and assets once, but you will need to update the number of shares that you have whenever you buy new shares. So this is going to be really simple though. So let's go back to the Excel spreadsheet that I downloaded to see what order Fidelity put all of my accounts in and also the assets. And then we're going to match that to this spreadsheet in order to make it the easiest to update in the future. So if we go here, we can see that it's taxable brokerage first, then my husband's traditional 401k, then our Roth IRAs, then my husband's Roth 401k, then the HSA. So I'm going to set that up exactly the same way. So joint brokerage, I already forgot. Traditional 401k, then I think the Roth IRAs, right? And then I said the Roth 401k, and then the HSA. I think that's right. I could have split my screen to make that a little bit easier, but I think that's right. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy the symbols, and I'm just going to paste those in here. So now that was like really easy to set up. So if you just put everything in the same order of the Excel file that you downloaded, then it's super easy to just like update this really fast and be done with it. And then because all of this is in the correct order, I can literally just go here, copy the quantity, go back here, and paste. There we go, we're done. And so every single time you buy shares in your accounts and you want to look at this portfolio tracker, you just need to go to the brokerage that you're using, download the file that it will look similar to this regardless if you use Fidelity or Vanguard or whatever you use. You can definitely download something like this and then just easily copy this column and then paste it back in here. So whenever I want to update this, it literally takes like 5 seconds. I just download this file, paste these values in, and then everything's updated again. And so now when we go to the allocation dashboard, we can see everything is now correct and right, and we can look at what our allocation summary is. We can look at our different accounts and what the breakdown is, and everything's ready to go. So hopefully that makes sense and that's simple. Let me know if you have any questions. I just wanted to show you guys this in case you didn't want to use this portfolio tracker because it was confusing for you, but really it's not confusing at all. It's also not very much maintenance to keep up with. Like I said, every single time I want to look at this, I just take the 20 seconds to download the file from Fidelity and update the quantities of my holdings, and that's all I have to do. So hopefully this was helpful and you guys enjoy using it. If you're interested in learning more about my finances, maybe you should subscribe so you don't miss another video. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.